2025 was probably one of the go-to years. Y'all, we gotta talk about the abandoned games that have been holding us down. Since 2025 that you can still play. Now, Lord, this is what we're gonna do, y'all. We're gonna go over these games in the tiers of what the bronze was, the silver, and the actually we're gonna throw in some gold in there, okay? We're gonna start from the bronze, silver, gold, and the platinum tiers of the abandoned games that we love, that we probably still play today. And many of these, they have a little bit, just a little bit is a bittersweet. And matter of fact, let's go into a lot of these games, and some of these, I will say this, some of these games I did check out, but a lot of them that I kind of stayed on the sideline and let a little bit, I watched it in the distance, that I really think that these games are one of the top games. If you haven't played these games, I would really look into playing a lot of these games. And the first one that we're going to start off with is the OG Liza P, man. Liza P was actually tight, y'all. I don't know if y'all messed with Liza P, but Liza P was actually tight. If you like those soul type like games, I wasn't too much of the soul like until I played Elden Ring. But if you like Elden Ring and you like Souls games, this is one game that you might want to check out. Now, this is on a little bit of lower on the bronze end, but the game was tight when it came to gameplay and the graphics. I mean, come on now. Let's be real. If you like Devil May Cry and a linear progression game and you kind of go hit off the side, and it has like a little bit of a vibe of like Final Fantasy, the Final Fantasy 7 one. If you like the Final Fantasy, then you definitely gonna go ahead and like this one, because Final Fantasy is still up in the top tiers of a lot of games. But if you got that Elden Ring, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about that Elden Ring. Elden Ring was one of the tightest games that they did have out there. Like, let's be real, especially with the Night Rain. Night Rain was tight. Now, if you don't mess with Liza P, we got some other games for you, and I think you're gonna like this one. If you are a driving fan, if you are a fan that likes to drive, okay? And I played a decent bit of it, and I think this is probably why I kind of switched over, where I just couldn't get into just the content. And a lot of games are repetitive. That's fair to say. A lot of games are repetitive, but I will say it's a different experience if you don't play a lot of driving games, and that's F1. F1 had its thing where I think it was tight. I think F1 was tight. It guided you. It kind of gave you a different outlook on at least how driving and what that true straight up driving was about. And it had its own realm that it's not for everybody. It's a lot more based for those fans who like that F1 type of environment where you go ahead and test out the tires. You test out the way how your handles are, and some things had to be dismissed in this game. It was real. You really had to know what F1 driving was about, because F1 had its own lane. It wasn't like how Gran Turismo was, or wasn't even like how this new Forza is, that it's just straight up F1. And F1 was tight. I really liked it. I had a good fun time for it. I didn't play it as much as I probably felt as though I should have played it, but I played it enough that I was like, okay, this game is one of the top ones. But now this one, next one, and we are still a little bit in that bronze, man. We haven't made it yet into it. Actually, honestly, this one I had a little bit of a give or take, where if you're an anime fan, you're gonna love this one. And I believe out of all the anime games, this might be the one that is worth grinding for. And that's solo leveling, man. Let's go ahead and talk about the solo leveling. Solo leveling. I'm going to go to you the full screen with the solo leveling, because solo leveling is my favorite one. You could not like this. Especially the anime in itself. I can't wait for the season 3 for this to come out, man. But this game right here, I think what probably didn't take it off as much as it should have is that it didn't go to PlayStation 5. If this probably went to PlayStation 5, I feel like it would have had a lot more people maybe playing it. But for it to be on PC and Xbox, and let's be honest, Xbox is in this particular space where not too many people are playing on Xbox. Let's be fair, man. And because mostly all of the top tier games, and every game has its console, right? It was Halo for Xbox, but and we had what, Call of Duty, and you had a couple other games for PlayStation, but with Halo was holding it down, not too many people went to go ahead and kept playing for Xbox, man. And they got a new leadership right now, and I think they're doing a really good job, but not too many people really was like, yo, I want to go ahead and stick with Xbox, because now if you was Xbox, you're pretty much switching over to PC. Now the next one we got, y'all, if you like a little bit of that scary realm, man, Little Nightmares. Little Nightmares was one of those that a lot of people couldn't get enough of when it came to playing this game, because this game is really like, it was spooky, suspenseful, and you just had fun. It really opened up your eyes on some true friendship, on what to really be grateful for. Because when you was running through this thing and you're facing all these monster looking captive people that are just watching you in a weird way, they're doing their things in the background, and you're trying to go ahead and you try to move away, and they just see you and they're coming right after you. And this game did have its jump scares. The jump scares for this game was pretty tight. And then when you really got to the end, it was almost sad, because you knew a lot of this was in his imagination. So if you like that imagination and you really value friendship and you want to know what friendship's all about, or you want to know, especially if you're a person that really keep to yourself, this is probably one of your games that you really find really fun. Now it's a linear progression, and once you play it, it pretty much is it from there. But this one really taps into that emotional piece, man. And I like watching it. When you're playing it, it's a whole nother thing. It's a whole nother game when you're really playing it. Now, speaking of a game that is a whole nother experience, y'all gonna like this one. The Last of Us Remastered Part 2. Don't act like this game didn't hold some of us down. Like Ellie, Joe, and we're going to go ahead right into it, man, with this right here. Naughty Dog did their thing when it came to The Last of Us. The storyline and the whole graphics, the gameplay, it was more than worth it getting the awards that it got. This is probably one of the most goated games to play. If you played it, you would know exactly what I'm talking about, because this game right here, man, it really, man, it had its scares, it had its things of just like, oh my god, what is about to happen next? You really almost didn't know too much what to expect when you're playing it straight up out of free play. If you didn't see it at all, this game right here, man, had you on a whole nother level on your toes. Cause you really get to play with some people was like, yo, what the freak? And you kinda didn't know who was right in this game. Because when you're playing this game, you did not know who was in the right or who was in the wrong. Cause almost a lot of the stuff really seemed justified. Like, it was really hard not to see what was justified. Now, all my Mafia fans, right? And we got these things on deck, cause I had to go ahead and I had to look at them, right? I like to keep it authentic. Okay? Now, we played this one. I'm a Mafia fan. I'm probably going to go ahead and do some little bit more Mafia play, right? But if you like the Mafia franchise, you would like it. Now, it's not too much of an open world play, but I do think the story and all the things that you do have set up with this game, I really do think that this game is really worth go ahead and making that investment toward. And that's Mafia Old Country, man. They did their thing with this one. Because it was definitely a lot different than the regular Mafia games. Like, you had to go ahead and you was really involved into the story. Even decisions were kind of a little bit of it was kind of linear, so you kind of almost make the decisions on if you're a person that want to make the story just go right. And it was fun. It was fun when you played this one. It wasn't nothing that was too crazy that you didn't almost, like, you didn't know what to expect, but you kind of knew what to expect in a way. You know, a lot of the stuff that they had, it was almost a predetermined thing. Like it was gonna happen. You knew when a lot of the stuff was gonna happen, but you're not sure when it was gonna happen. That next lead me to a real actiony game. Y'all know this one, man. They had its own movie, and that's the big dog Doom, man. Doom just straight up gives me Duke Nukem vibes. And this right here, you could go ahead and get busy with Doom. And this is a little bit of that nostalgia play. If you played all the other Dooms, now I'm not too much of the Doom, but I've seen a lot of gameplay with Doom. And Doom was actually pretty tight. Doom is pretty tight, especially where it came from to what it looks like now. And playing this now with all the hardcore intensity that they got, the graphics turned up, the audio turned up, the gameplay turned up. If you like that way of that first-person shooter and you want to go ahead and play a little bit more up into like the game itself, you would love Doom, because that thing is straight up linear and you got straight up big. And there's not a time that you didn't have action into that game. Like almost the whole time, it's pure action from the jump. Speaking of action, we're coming to this next one right here. The Ubisoft goated for its open world, y'all. Y'all already know we're probably going to say, if you haven't played the new one, go to check out the new one. But we got the Shadows of Assassin's Creed, man, with the big dog, Yusaka, the Black Samurai. Lord, let's be real, man. Back in them times when they had samurais, looking at a Black Samurai was like, nah, that wasn't the thing that we was going to go ahead and accept. They wasn't accepting that. But right here, you got that 2 different play. I think it gives you 2 different styles of playing with Assassin's Creed. You can go the Samurai way or you go the Assassin way, the Shinobi way. And it's pretty neat that they then added 2 characters of totally different type of styles of fighting into one game. Now this, I'm a real big fan of all the Assassin's Creeds. And I ain't gonna lie, if you go back and check, you see your boy played all of them. Now this one right here, we was chilling. We was chilling on this one right here because I want to kind of save this one, because they do have another one with the Black Flag resynced, and that's gonna be a whole nother level right there. If you looked at the gameplay, go ahead and check out the gameplay of Black Flag resynced, and that's gonna be that might be one of the top games of the year that I think Ubisoft's gonna have to, because Ubisoft is in a real interesting place right now, and they can't really afford to mess up. And we would go ahead and say, one person that can't afford to mess up, one of the games that held us down, y'all, this held us down. A different when you got to go ahead and you could not make mistakes. If you did make mistakes, you had to pay for it, and that's Dispatch, y'all. Dispatch was another game right here that I think, if you are a person, and now you're playing as a retired hero, and you're having these different people that were in that, debatable spot if they're a villain. If they were going to be a villain or cause chaos, now you have to go ahead and dispatch them and making decisions for them to help them do. Now, some of them did act on their own and did what they end up doing, but for the most part, controlling this of being a dispatch of heroes was a whole different. I don't think too many people expected a game like this to actually be really, really good. I think the idea of it, most people were like, oh yeah, a dispatcher, and you're controlling all these other heroes or vigilantes or people on probation, and you're going out solving crime. It had its interesting things, man, on how this game kind of went out, because you playing as that dispatcher, he wasn't a jerk, but he was an interesting guy that he just wanted to do it. He just wanted to do his job. That's all that was. He wanted to stay out the way and do his job. And I think if you're a person that likes to be in that command of, just controlling a lot of people to be able to tell people what to do, or playing those click-based type of games, you're going to really go ahead and love that. Now that we got back to where this top tier of this is where we are within that platinum realm, okay? The platinum realm, which really was 2025, that made 2025 worth it, especially with the Elden Ring fans, man. And that's when we got into the Elden Ring Night Rain, that you were able to pick different characters and you basically took on different waves, and you go through this whole thing. And it was like a little bit of a, not a battle royale, but to see how great you were under the pressure of you know, the fire closing in lower in a circle until you keep grabbing different gear, you go into different realms, and see how really good you were with Elden Ring. I think that was a lot of things with Elden Ring on why it was so goated, was because when you fought these bosses, you actually really had to play and your skill came about. And you had to know the exact gear and your playstyle on how you want to play. Because when you got to that last boss, or even the bosses, it was not easy. Like, you had to actually dodge, fight, and you were getting smacked up. You would think that it would have been that much more easier playing Not Rain on Elden Ring with 3 other people, or in case 2 other people going on a map. You would think it would have been a lot easier to defeat them bosses. But no. It was actually a true challenge of even when you got the top tier gear. And everybody knows that when you play Elden Ring, your gear matters. And when you had that, and they even gave us abilities in this game, and it was still freaking hard. It was still hard to play Elden Ring Night Rain. That when you fought those bosses, it felt as though like you didn't even do anything right, and your health bar even went up. Like, that's what's crazy about that. Now this other one right here, I think this one really caught a lot of us off guard, and this one was pretty unexpected. And I think it was even unexpected for the developer, because I believe that there might have been just one guy that even did this one, and that's Schedule 1, man. Schedule 1 took everybody by a storm, but I don't think anybody thought that this type of game, with the type of graphics, it was going to take the heights that it did. But apparently being a drug dealer is probably something that a lot of us thought about. We probably thought about being a drug dealer at one point. We probably thought about it, because for the most part, it seemed like it's easy cash, but you're always looking over your back. So there's that piece that we know there's a consequence of being a drug dealer. There's a consequence, but on Schedule 1, this was giving you that piece to go ahead and see what you were willing to do if you want to take the heights as a drug dealer, and it was fun. It was a fun game to go ahead and see what you are willing to do if you were a drug dealer. Not a lot of people can handle that fast type of life, man. That lifestyle is not an easy thing to handle. Like, you're not just going to go in that lifestyle and thinking like, oh yeah, I just want to make money. Like, no. That type of lifestyle, blood in, blood out. And this next one, talking about blood in, blood out, we got Borderlands, man. Borderlands, probably one of the most OG when it comes to a game of a franchise that they built on top of buildings. And a little bit, they did a little bit of other ones. They had the Wonderlands, Tiny Tina's, I believe that's what it was. And Borderlands is pretty tight. I mean, they came a long way, especially with the developers of this. They went a long way. Like, they have a specific type of graphic look that even now that I see a little bit in it, I see a little bit of the NBA 2K run kind of playing the same way, or looking the same way of the Borderlands type of feel. But the Borderlands, man, it speaks for itself of a grinding. Now they have it where it's an open grind that you could get the top tier gear and you could go crazy. So if you want an open world and you want a grinding game that you want to grab out some top tier gear and missions that they constantly have in DLCs for the missions, this is probably your best bet. And it held its own on 2025. They have a lot more. We have a lot more games that now that are really, really grindy, because now when you want to find a game, you want to find a game that you go find as your home, because it's an investment almost. You're investing a lot of your time into these games, and that pretty much says like where all the games are heading towards. And this is a perfect time for this game to even come up on about what games are grindy, and that's Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders came in, especially a lot of streamers were loving this game. And there's one specific streamer that we know that really made this game the game of that year, and that's the Burnt Peanut. The Burnt Peanut made this game the game of the year. The guy is entertaining, and he made this game entertaining. Was there anything that stood out from an extraction game? Not really. There's not too much that stands out from an extraction game, but with the entertainment that you got from, and really, look, we gotta appreciate the Peanut for that, man. He gave us something pretty sweet, man. It was just entertaining to watch. And who would have thought extracting gear would have been a hilarious, entertaining thing, especially when it's such a simple game, but it was so amusing and entertaining when watching him play this. And we all played it for the most part, if you didn't play it, go ahead and play it, because you go ahead, you extract, you build your gear, your weapons, you get different type of equipment, you loot, you can make friends, or you might get blasted by some people. It was a whole thing that it was so much that you share the whole world, or you went on a board and you got to explore it with no chains. You could literally run with a pack of people, or you could run solo, be stealthy, go ahead and make the right judgments call. If you wanted to go ahead and eliminate some people, take their gear, or if you wanted to go ahead and be like, all right, I'm gonna go my way, you go your way. Or sometimes, because most of it was a lot of battling, and it was a survival of the fittest. And that game, and it was a fun game. It was a really fun game that held us down until 2026. And right now, one of the games that we did, and another game that is really holding us down, and I haven't really played too much of it, but I did play it. And I remember when I used to play a lot of Call of Duty, man, Call of Duty got to a certain point where I just did not know if I had any more left for me. I really did not know if I needed to switch up, and the game came in perfect timing, and that was Battlefield. When Battlefield came out, we were so like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that there's another game that out here, because Call of Duty really didn't have too many people that was competing with them. Like, nobody competed with Call of Duty until Battlefield, and Battlefield been around for a long time, but nobody really had that urge to really want to play Battlefield until this year, when they seen that Call of Duty really wasn't coming out with too many different things. It was just almost the same play. You had your same loadout, you found the meta weapons, and you kind of went about it. But then when Battlefield came out, especially with Red Sec, the battle royale world opened up for all the Call of Duty players to go to give a try to this other game. Now, a lot of people still play Call of Duty, and Call of Duty is still wanting to go to games. But I think if you wanted a whole nother twist and a game that really just mix it up for you a bit, I think Battlefield was one of those ones that you could really enjoy. You can enjoy it, and it still gives you that little bit of Call of Duty nostalgia, that if all of your friends to stop playing Call of Duty, they could go ahead and make their way over to Red Sec. But y'all let me know what y'all think. What games that were in 2025 that held you down? And if they are still holding you down in 2026, because we have a lot of games coming with a storm, baby, in 2026, and I'm excited. I'm excited. But nonetheless, if no games do hold you down in 2026, you can always come back to 2025 with the games, some of the goated games that held us down and probably still holding us down and doing what it do. Let me know in the comments if you still play some of these abandoned games that we kind of forgot, but still exist. They still exist in the back of our head. Let me know what y'all think.